Have you ever wondered if your struggles, your darkest fears, and even your deepest doubts are not mere obstacles, but vital clues guiding you towards something greater? What if, in the heart of every challenge you face, there is a secret path leading to a future you never thought possible? A future of strength, freedom, and purpose. What if the key to understanding who you are and what you're meant to become lies not in the light you've embraced, but in the very shadows you've tried to escape? Nietzsche, the philosopher who dared to speak against the herd, would tell you that your greatest enemy isn't the world around you, but the parts of yourself that you have denied. He would argue that the life you seek is hidden within the aspects of yourself that you fear to confront. The shadow, as Carl Jung calls it, is not some mere psychological curiosity. It is a force, a fierce undercurrent of energy that shapes your destiny, waiting to be claimed, not fought. Imagine for a moment that everything you've rejected in yourself, your weaknesses, your impulses, your flaws, are not weaknesses at all. They are the very tools you need to become who you were always meant to be. Nietzsche spoke of the will to power, the force within us that compels us to grow, to conquer, to become. But what if I told you that in the very things you've hidden, buried deep within yourself, lie the seeds of that very power? There is an ancient story from Greek mythology, one that Nietzsche himself admired. The myth of the hero's journey, where the hero must descend into the underworld, face their inner demons, and return transformed. The hero does not achieve greatness by avoiding darkness. No, it is by confronting it, absorbing it, and transcending it that they are reborn. But this transformation requires something more than just courage. It requires the willingness to face not just the external monsters of the world, but the ones within. The Greeks understood this. They knew that the darkness was not an enemy to be vanquished, but a part of the human condition to be understood and mastered. And yet, in our modern world, we often try to escape this darkness, this shadow, by clinging to ideals of purity, morality, and perfection. We've been taught to run from our fears, to suppress our weaknesses, but in doing so, we miss the greatest potential that resides within us. Nietzsche's philosophy beckons us to turn toward the darkness within ourselves, not to be consumed by it, but to use it as fuel for transformation. For Nietzsche, this was the essence of the Übermensch, the overman, the one who transcends conventional limitations, the one who embraces all of their being, light and dark alike. The Übermensch does not hide from their flaws. Instead, they confront them, learn from them, and emerge stronger than before. Now, think of the times in your life when you've been confronted by something that triggered an emotional eruption. Perhaps it was an act of jealousy, of fear, or even a deep anger that surprised you. Nietzsche would ask you, what does this tell you about your own weakness, your own limitations? Your reactions are not random. They are the signposts on the path to self-overcoming. In fact, when we react strongly to others, it's often because they reflect something we despise or deny within ourselves. The man who criticizes others for being weak may be confronting his own fear of inadequacy. The woman who resents another's success may be trying to suppress the very ambition she has buried in herself. It is a paradox. We project onto others the very traits we refuse to acknowledge within ourselves. Nietzsche wrote, "He who fights with monsters should look to it that he himself does not become a monster." The more we fight the darkness, the more it grows. But if we learn to understand it, to own it, then we become the master of it, and not the other way around. Do you see the point? To live in the world, to truly become yourself, you must first confront your shadow, not with fear or shame, but with curiosity, with the eyes of a warrior. What is it that you have buried deep within you? What part of yourself have you denied, out of fear or out of shame? What desires have you dismissed because you were told they were wrong? What passions have you hidden because they seemed impractical or too bold? The key to understanding yourself lies not in running from these questions, but in turning toward them. Nietzsche's will to power is not a will to dominate others, but a will to dominate the self. To shape oneself into the highest possible expression of life. To do this, you must own your entire self, even the parts you have deemed unworthy. When Nietzsche said, "Become who you are," he was not simply urging us to embrace our virtues. He was calling us to embrace our flaws, our darkest parts, and to transform them into something new, something powerful. It is in this radical acceptance, this fusion of the light and the dark, that we uncover the true potential within us. But as with any profound transformation, this process is not easy. It requires an honesty with oneself that can be uncomfortable, even painful. It demands that you let go of the illusions you've built around who you think you should be and face the raw, unfiltered truth of who you actually are. This is the journey Nietzsche invites us to undertake. The journey of becoming who we are meant to be, not just by rejecting our weaknesses, but by understanding them, embracing them, and learning from them. The shadow is not an enemy. It is the birthplace of the soul's deepest power, and yet it is not a power we wield easily. It is a force that must be approached with respect, with understanding, and with a willingness to become more than we ever thought we could be. It is not an overnight journey, but a lifelong process, a continuous battle, not against the world, but against ourselves. The struggle for self-mastery is the true path of freedom. To live in Nietzsche's world is to live as an artist of the self. Like a sculptor chiseling away at a block of marble, you carve away the false images of who you thought you were to reveal the true form within. The shadow is the uncarved block. The more you confront it, the more you uncover, the more you shape it into something beautiful, something strong. Think of the great artists and philosophers throughout history. Van Gogh, who painted his own pain, his own isolation, and transformed it into a masterpiece of color. Dostoevsky, who explored the depths of human suffering, and in doing so, uncovered profound truths about the nature of the human soul. These men, these giants, did not shy away from their shadows. They embraced them, and in doing so, they created works that transcend time and place. Their works are the products of individuals who lived with their shadows, who channeled their struggles into something greater than themselves. And you too can do this. In your own life, you may not be an artist in the traditional sense, but you are creating something. Every decision you make, every path you walk, you are creating the life you will one day look back on. The question is, what will you create? Will you create a life defined by your fears and denials, or will you create a life defined by your deepest truths, your deepest powers, those very powers you have tried to suppress? Nietzsche invites us to embrace the discomfort of this journey. He tells us, "What does not kill me makes me stronger." This is not a platitude. It is a truth about the human condition. The struggles you face, the ones you feel like you cannot endure, are the very things that forge your strength. Your shadow is the fire, and the steel of your soul is shaped within it. So what do you fear about yourself? What parts of you have you turned away from because they seem too dangerous, too destructive, too wild? Do you fear your anger, your desire for power, your cravings for pleasures that seem too indulgent? Nietzsche's wisdom would tell you to look deeper into these parts, to question why they scare you. Because within them, you might find a wellspring of energy, a force that, if understood and channeled, could propel you toward greatness. And yet, to do this, you must first become your own most honest critic. You must stand naked before yourself, not hiding behind the facades of social norms or the masks of accepted morality. To become who you truly are, you must face all that you've hidden, the greed, the envy, the anger, and understand their origins, their reasons for being. This is not a process of self-judgment, but of self-discovery. It's the courageous act of becoming a creator of your own destiny, not a passive follower of societal dictates. In this journey, there are no guarantees. But one thing is certain: the path to greatness is the path that leads directly through your own darkness. To deny this is to live a half-life, a life where you never fully tap into your potential. To accept it, to integrate it, to learn from it. That is the path of the Übermensch, the one who becomes greater than they ever dreamed possible. As you embark on this journey, understand that the darkness is not something to be feared, but something to be understood. It is not a weakness, but a strength waiting to be forged. The power you've been seeking, the wisdom you've been craving, is not somewhere outside of you. It lies within, hidden in the parts of yourself you've been taught to reject. This is the paradox of Nietzsche's vision. To become who you are, you must first embrace all that you've been taught to deny. And in doing so, you transcend the ordinary, and step into the extraordinary. The world tells you that to be good, you must fit within the confines of a predetermined mold. It tells you that virtue is synonymous with conformity, that morality is about submitting to external forces rather than forging your own path. Nietzsche calls this the slave morality, a set of values imposed by society to keep the masses in check, to suppress the true potential of individuals. But in truth, there is no one-size-fits-all model for greatness. The virtues of society may not be your virtues at all. To live authentically, to live as an artist of your own life, requires a rejection of these arbitrary norms. It requires the courage to break free from the chains of what others expect of you and to create your own values, values that reflect who you truly are, not who the world wants you to be. This is the essence of the Übermensch, one who does not accept the values handed down by others, but who creates new ones from the depths of their soul. Nietzsche does not call us to abandon all morality, but to transcend the kind of morality that binds us to weakness and mediocrity. True morality, in Nietzsche's eyes, is the ability to stand firm in your own will, to rise above the herd mentality, and to shape the world according to your own vision. Imagine, then, if you could live without fear of judgment, without the constant need for approval from others. Imagine if your every action was driven by the powerful energy of your own will, free from the constraints of guilt, shame, or obligation. This is the life Nietzsche envisions for you, a life of unshackled potential, a life in which you embrace not only your greatness but your flaws, for it is in the dance between the two that your true strength is revealed. But here lies the crux of the matter. The journey toward this freedom is not an easy one. It demands that you confront not only the judgment of society, but the judgment of your own mind. It requires that you face the lies you've been told about what is right and wrong, good and bad, and carve your own path forward. There are those who would rather remain safe, who would rather cling to the familiar and the comfortable. These are the ones who fear the unknown, who fear the power that lies dormant within them. They are the ones who obey without questioning, who follow the herd, not because they desire to, but because it is the path of least resistance. But the Übermensch is different. They know that greatness is forged through struggle, that the most profound growth comes from walking the difficult path, the path that few others dare to walk. The one who dares to be different, to live in accordance with their own truth, will encounter resistance, not only from the world around them, but from within themselves. The ego will cry out, the mind will resist, but the will to power pushes them onward toward their true self. You may ask, how do I know if I am on the right path? How can I be sure I am not simply deceiving myself? Nietzsche would answer, the only way to know is to live authentically, to test your ideas and actions against the trials of life itself. It is in the face of hardship, in the moments of crisis, that your true self is revealed. If you stand strong in your resolve, if you remain true to your inner vision despite the forces that seek to tear you down, then you will know that you are walking the path of the Übermensch. You might stumble, you might fall. The road may be long and treacherous, but each challenge is an opportunity to refine yourself. Each failure is a lesson, a step closer to mastering yourself. The path to greatness is not linear, but cyclical, an ongoing process of self-overcoming, self-transformation. Think of the phoenix rising from the ashes, reborn through fire. This is the metaphor for the journey of self-transcendence. You must burn away all that is false, all that holds you back, and emerge from the flames as something entirely new, something more powerful, more alive. But in order to do this, you must first face the fire. You must step into the unknown, unafraid of what may be consumed in the process. In Nietzsche's world, there is no end to this journey, no final destination. There is only the process of becoming, of constantly evolving into something greater. The Übermensch is not a fixed point to be reached, but a direction to be followed, a constant striving toward more. More knowledge, more power, more self-understanding. This is the paradox. The more you strive to become your highest self, the more you realize that there is always more to learn, more to discover, more to overcome. It is a never-ending quest, but it is in this quest that true fulfillment is found. For Nietzsche, the pursuit of greatness is the very essence of life itself. But what of the moments of doubt, the moments when you question whether it is all worth it, when you wonder if you will ever reach the heights you envision, if the pain of the journey is too much to bear? These moments are inevitable. They are part of the human experience. But Nietzsche's philosophy teaches us that these moments are not signs of failure. They are the very conditions that make us stronger. Every challenge, every trial, is an opportunity to forge our will, to prove to ourselves that we are capable of more than we ever imagined. What if I told you that the greatest strength is not the ability to avoid pain, but the ability to endure it, to transform it into something greater? The true test of strength is not in how easy life is, but in how you respond to the difficulties that arise. The Übermensch does not flee from hardship. They meet it head-on, knowing that it is through these challenges that they will become who they are meant to be. In the face of suffering, Nietzsche would ask you, what will you do with this pain? Will you let it break you, or will you use it to shape yourself into something stronger? It is the artist who takes raw material, no matter how difficult or flawed, and shapes it into something beautiful. So too can you take the struggles of your life and transform them into the very forces that propel you forward. You see, the path of the Übermensch is not about escaping suffering, but about embracing it as part of the journey. It is about recognizing that the pain you endure has meaning, that it serves a purpose in your evolution. Each moment of struggle, each time you feel the weight of the world upon your shoulders, is an opportunity to prove your resilience, your creativity, and your power to shape your own destiny. And yet, despite this, there will be moments when you will want to give up. You will face moments of despair, when the world seems to offer no answers, when everything feels hopeless. Nietzsche understands this. He himself faced a lifetime of suffering and isolation. But he also knew that in these moments, the individual has a choice to surrender or to rise. This is where the real work begins, when everything around you falls apart, when the world seems to turn its back on you. In those moments, you must ask yourself, do I have the strength to keep going? Do I have the courage to continue shaping myself into the person I am meant to be? This is the essence of Nietzsche's philosophy, to confront life head-on, to embrace both its beauty and its brutality, and to shape yourself into a being capable of creating your own values, your own reality. For, in the end, you are the artist of your life. Your thoughts, your actions, your will, they are the tools with which you create your masterpiece. The world may try to impose its values upon you, but you have the power to decide who you will become. And though the path may be fraught with difficulty, it is in the forging of your soul that your true freedom lies. So as you move forward in this journey, remember, there is no external force that can define you, no authority that can determine your worth. The only one who holds the power to shape your destiny is you. And if you are willing to step into the unknown, to embrace the darkness within, to confront your weaknesses and turn them into strengths, then you will uncover a power greater than anything the world has to offer. There is no higher calling than to become who you are meant to be. And this is the path that Nietzsche lays before you. It is the path of freedom, of self-creation, and of the will to power. And yet, despite this truth, there are those who resist. They remain imprisoned within the walls of their own fears, caged by the voices that tell them they are not enough, that they must stay within the lines drawn by others. They live in constant fear of breaking free, of what might happen if they let go of the constraints that have been handed to them. But what they fail to realize is that the very chains they cling to are the ones that keep them from discovering their true potential. The act of self-overcoming is not about defiance for the sake of rebellion. It is not about rejecting others for the sake of personal superiority. Rather, it is about a profound realization. The moment you stop following the dictates of others, you begin the process of rediscovering yourself. You begin to see the world not as a place where you are a mere participant, but as a canvas upon which you can create your masterpiece. But first, you must allow yourself the courage to confront the chaos within. We are all born into a world of order, a world where society has already placed expectations upon us. Our lives are mapped out by ancestral patterns, by religious dogma, by the roles we are told to play. It's easy to simply accept these roles, to wear the mask that others have handed us. But to live as the true artist of your own existence requires the destruction of the masks that others have created for you. It requires you to look within and ask, who am I beneath these layers? Nietzsche's call to transcend the herd is not just a philosophical statement, it is a way of life. It is about freeing yourself from the conventions and norms that have been drilled into your psyche since birth. The fear of standing alone is the fear of truly knowing oneself. And this is where the greatest danger lies. When we hide behind the comfortable illusions of society, we deny ourselves the opportunity to create a life that is uniquely our own. To live according to Nietzsche is to live without fear of judgment, without the need for external validation. It is to embrace the truth that each individual has the power to create their own meaning. The world may try to label you, to categorize you, but in the end, it is only your own will, your own vision, that has the power to determine your path. The act of self-creation requires a fierce individualism, a refusal to let the opinions of others dictate the course of your life. This, however, is not to say that the journey is easy. It is, in fact, an arduous process. The first step toward this freedom is to recognize that much of what you have been taught is a lie. Society, with all its rules and morals, offers you a comfortable narrative that keeps you complacent. But true freedom, true greatness, lies beyond this comfort. It lies in the unknown, in the chaos that comes when you stop accepting what others tell you is right and start creating your own reality. There's a moment in every individual's life when the veil is lifted, when the reality of who you are becomes undeniable. It is in these moments of clarity that you may glimpse the terrifying yet liberating truth. You are the creator of your own existence. You are not bound by the expectations of others, nor are you confined to a narrow version of yourself that has been constructed by the world around you. But this realization does not come easily. It demands that you confront your own limitations, that you face your deepest fears, and that you accept the reality that not everyone will understand you. It requires you to stand tall in the face of criticism, to live a life that might appear reckless or irrational to others. But the price of greatness, the price of self-mastery, is precisely this: the willingness to be misunderstood, the willingness to defy conventional thinking, and the courage to live according to your own values, not the values that others impose upon you. In Nietzsche's philosophy, there is no room for weakness. There is no room for self-pity, no place for the mindset of victimhood. Life is not something that happens to you. It is something that you shape, something you confront with the full strength of your being. To walk the path of the Übermensch, as Nietzsche envisioned, is to embark on a journey that defies conformity and embraces the radical act of self-creation. It is the courage to live authentically, to refuse the societal chains that bind us to inherited beliefs, and to instead become the architect of our own existence. The Übermensch does not follow the rules set by others. They create their own values, defining meaning and purpose from within. The first step on this path is to become the creator of your own values. To do this, one must question everything: what they've been taught, what they've been told is right or wrong. Begin by reflecting on the values you inherited, your family's moral code, the societal expectations you were raised with, the religious or cultural ideals you once adhered to. Once you understand these external impositions, challenge them. What is truly important to you? What values resonate with your spirit, regardless of whether they align with mainstream thinking? Write them down, reflect on them deeply, and start aligning your actions with them. This is not an easy process, for it requires the abandonment of external validation and the courage to live by your own unique code. As Nietzsche suggested, the Übermensch is constantly overcoming. To transcend your limitations and weaknesses, you must first identify them. What are your fears, your doubts, your insecurities? These are the walls that confine you, but they can also become the very means of your liberation. To overcome these walls, challenge yourself daily, whether it's taking on a new task, confronting your fears, or breaking through self-imposed barriers. Failure, in Nietzsche's world, is not a setback but a vital part of the process. Learn from your failures, refine your approach, and persist. By doing so, you will gradually transcend who you were, inching closer to who you are meant to become. At the heart of this journey is an acceptance of life's chaos, suffering, and unpredictability. Nietzsche does not suggest that life is something to be tamed or controlled, but rather something to be embraced in its raw, chaotic nature. Every hardship, every moment of pain, is an opportunity for growth, for strength, for transformation. Reframe suffering as a tool for development, not as an obstacle to avoid. Life is not meant to be lived in search of comfort or stability. It is meant to be lived with passion, with intensity, with an awareness that each moment, however difficult, is an integral part of your evolution. Cultivating willpower and discipline is a necessary part of becoming the Übermensch. The strength to live according to your own values, regardless of external pressures, requires immense self-discipline. This is where your willpower must be forged. Begin with establishing daily routines that reflect your values and goals. Each day, choose to act in ways that align with your higher purpose, even when the easier path beckons. It could mean working on a personal project despite feeling tired, resisting distractions, or pushing through discomfort to achieve long-term growth. The Übermensch does not live for momentary pleasures, but for the creation of a life that is authentic and meaningful. To embody the Übermensch is to live creatively. Nietzsche encourages us to see life as a canvas, and we are the artists, painting our existence with intention, freedom, and innovation. Creativity is not confined to artistic endeavors, but extends to how we approach every aspect of life. In your work, in your relationships, in your personal development, approach everything with creativity. Question the established ways of doing things and find new methods that reflect your unique perspective. Whether it's innovating at work or transforming a routine task into something more meaningful, the Übermensch is always engaged in the creative act of shaping their world. Alongside creativity comes the necessity of solitude. The Übermensch is not dependent on others for validation or guidance, but relies on their own inner strength. To achieve this, you must cultivate moments of solitude, times when you can reflect, plan, and reconnect with your true self. Solitude is not loneliness, but a time for self-discovery and inner peace. In these moments, you strip away the noise of the world and listen to your own voice. Learn to trust your instincts, make decisions based on your inner wisdom, and be at peace with your own company. The ability to be self-reliant is essential for the Übermensch, for they do not look to others for answers, but create their own path. Another crucial concept in Nietzsche's philosophy is the acceptance of eternal recurrence. This idea asks us to live each day as though we will live it over and over again for eternity. If you could relive your life eternally, would you regret the way you're living it now? Would you wish you had chosen a different path, lived with more courage, or been truer to yourself? The concept of eternal recurrence challenges you to live with purpose, to make choices that are aligned with your deepest values, and to avoid the trap of mediocrity. The Übermensch is someone who embraces life fully, accepting both its beauty and its suffering, and approaches each moment with intensity and gratitude. To live in this way is to live with the awareness that every decision is meaningful, every action significant, and every experience an opportunity for growth. The path of the Übermensch is not for the faint of heart. It demands radical self-honesty, self-discipline, and a relentless commitment to living authentically. It requires the courage to forge your own values, to transcend the limitations imposed by society, and to embrace life in all its complexity. It is a journey of self-overcoming, where each step forward brings you closer to the person you are destined to become. In the end, the Übermensch is not a final destination, but a continuous process of becoming. It is the creation of a life that is uniquely yours, one that is lived with meaning, passion, and an unwavering commitment to your highest self. The journey to becoming the Übermensch is not a path of ease or comfort, but one of profound transformation. It calls for a break from the herd mentality, a rejection of external expectations, and a relentless pursuit of self-creation. By questioning societal values, embracing suffering as a catalyst for growth, and cultivating your own unique path, you begin to step into the fullness of your potential. The Übermensch is not some distant ideal. It is the continual evolution of who you are, the ongoing act of becoming the truest version of yourself. To live authentically, to carve your own values from the chaos of life, to meet challenges with strength and creativity, and to embrace both joy and suffering with equal fervor is the essence of Nietzsche's philosophy. It is not a destination, but a journey, a dynamic process of becoming, ever-changing, ever-evolving. The Übermensch lives with intensity, with purpose, and with an unwavering commitment to shaping their existence. And in doing so, they transcend the ordinary and become the creators of their own destiny, embodying the highest form of human potential. Your own journey toward this ideal starts now. Embrace the challenge, break free from convention, and begin the process of forging a life that is uniquely and powerfully yours. The Übermensch is not a myth or a figure to worship, but a possibility, one that exists within you, waiting to be realized. Thank you for watching.